Catherine. First off, I love Atlanta. If you have a chance to, so there's a lot of things to see in Atlanta, but if you have a chance to go down Myrtle Avenue, so that's where I went this morning on my run. Most of you know, if you've heard me speak, that's my addiction, is running because it supports my other addictions of eating and drinking. So, so I like to run, and I got a great run into the city and also throughout the park this morning. Atlanta is a fantastic city. In fact, I got a chance to go to the King Complex about 15 years ago, 12 years ago, I think, the first time, right when it was opening, in the Carter Museum, Carter Center. Just fantastic. So, and Catherine, great presentation. My wife is an art history major, so I'll be able to go back and tie in some of the nice art history mentions, and I now have a nice story to bridge art history with enterprise software, thanks to yourself and now Adam as well. So let me flip this around here. My objective, after you heard the presentation from Adam and from Catherine as well, is to show the application of some of the transformation challenges that we had using design thinking. And there's probably no place in IBM where we really needed to take a look at a new way of working, a new way of designing software than in our Linux Domino portfolio. We've got a platform of 25 years of rock solid performance, a great revenue stream, loyal customers, a fantastic partner ecosystem, but we hadn't quite innovated to get to that next phase. We were moving slowly to the cloud. Our web environment wasn't quite where we wanted it to be. Some of the tooling hadn't evolved. And so the design thinking concepts and Phil Gilbert, Adam's boss, putting into place the thinking and the practices all coincided at the opportune time for us to take a look at the social business at IBM and to go forward and begin applying some of these approaches. So I'll spend the next few minutes talking to you a little bit about our portfolio and how we've been applying this not only for the messaging space, but across the business through chat, meetings, our social capabilities, and how it's vitally important to apply these principles to deliver not only a user experience, but an end-to-end experience from procurement to upgrades and support to end of life and sunsetting and transitioning to newer and better technologies. So that life cycle applies quite profoundly to the enterprise software space. Our principles right now that are guiding us, you can see that design is a core element of what we're doing. Certainly, the cloud we're embarking on the journey with the cloud. I just want a show of hands. How many people are working at companies that are embracing cloud in some form or factor? Okay, and now, for those who didn't raise your hand, how many would like to do that in the next year or so? Are there folks who, okay. And then another show of hands, who has no appetite for cloud at all? Okay. So, and this is what we're still seeing. We're seeing the last group of hands is getting smaller. Going to Germany, going to Japan, seeing customers in various parts of the world. The cloud space was this big 2 years ago. The appetite is getting bigger and bigger. One of my best examples is the Swiss banks. Going to visit some of the private banking customers, and 2 years ago, no appetite for cloud. A year ago, tell me a little bit about your cloud story. 6 months ago, hey, we're going to put asset management in the cloud. Show me how to do it. We'll keep private wealth on premises. So transitions occurring. Keep an open mind. We'll talk to you a little bit about it. Obviously, mobile first and the form factors are influencing what we're doing across the board. And cognitive. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end. The importance of cognitive is influencing what we're doing. In fact, so much so that one of the leading researchers at Forrester, a guy named Rob Koplowitz, has joined my team. Rob was the leading expert in the industry for Forrester, one of the independent analyst firms, and he is so bullish on where we're going with Verse, with Connections, and with Watson. He reached out and he said, I'd like to join and help drive this. So we'll talk a little bit about what Rob's working on. The main reason I brought up this chart is because IDC just published their latest numbers around the social space. We are #1 again in enterprise social. We're #2 in messaging. And the social space is growing. It's still fairly fragmented. IBM's share is in the low double digits, but we are #1. That's where all the connections and chat meetings capabilities come together. With messaging, we're still a strong #2. And I wanted you to know that this is where we spend a lot of time getting input and feedback on the designs, the concepts, and the strategy. And what we're hearing is that we need to charge forward. This is the right direction, the transformation we've been on over the last year and a half, especially from a user experience perspective, and the feedback we're hearing from the market is on target. So it's not just our portfolio that's critical here. It's the partnerships that we're establishing, partially because of IBM's breadth and position in the market, that our division, the social collaboration, the messaging space, can capitalize on. Now, some of these are moving faster than others, but for example, the box relationship. This is an example of where we're meeting the market where they want us to deploy software. If a customer has Box and they'd rather use Box on top of our platform, we have Enterprise File Sync and Share. It's magnificent software. We have great enterprise content management solutions, but we're moving forward, opening up the environment, and you're going to see more of this moving forward through other strategic partnerships that will be announced in the second half. There's spaces across the platform where, of course, we offer a complete portfolio, and here it is, yet there are times when a customer has a chat or meetings capability that we need to provide a way to integrate more seamlessly with, for example, maybe Cisco or another vendor, or perhaps somebody like Room, a nice startup that provides free WebRTC video conferencing. You know, how can we make this platform more open and accommodating to the market and the customers that we have? Most of you have seen this, so hopefully, well actually, let me ask, how many are here for the first user group event? Richard may have asked this earlier, I came in a little late. So there's a handful of you, okay, good. So if this is your first user group event and you haven't seen the IBM portfolio, I'll explain this just quickly. The objective and our strategy is to deliver a comprehensive set of capabilities that you need to become a social business. Most of you are probably here because you're a Nostamino customer and you've evolved with us in the messaging space, in mail, calendaring, and contacts. Soon, we're going to be bringing to market a slightly different perspective of this. Much more on an apps and capabilities view and less on a product perspective view. For example, contacts. Here's a part of our portfolio that really doesn't jump out. It's sort of embedded within social networking in our Profiles app. It's also part of the mail and messaging environment. It also exists in your chat environment. How can we transform the profile or the contact metaphor to turn that into something that is much more manageable? You know, I don't know about you, but when I go into my mobile device, I have 12 entries for my boss. Okay, I don't know why it can't dedupe. Why can't Apple dedupe all of these different entries? So, you know, this is a problem. Contacts is a problem. Profiles are a problem. We're managing contacts in multiple places. This is the next chapter of innovation that we're looking at. Calendaring is another one, where we've taken the first steps on ideating on calendaring the way we did with mail. We're about to unveil some new ideas around calendaring tied into meetings, tied into the way social networking, and our activities app within social networking work. So you're going to start seeing this evolve, but it gives you a perspective of what we're bringing to market across the Connections platform and environment, inclusive of all of the apps. Included in here are a set of application development technologies, compliance capabilities as well, some that we provide and some that come from our partners like Actiance and Sonia. So a little bit on the history here, just so you kind of see where we've been and where we're heading. Across the bottom, you can see the some of the persistent areas, especially in the messaging space, will continue to be a priority for us. We've evolved our messaging space year after year after year. In addition, on the app dev side, I'm going to talk to you in a second and introduce Pete Janzen to talk a little bit about some of the investments we're making there. But right now, we are knee-deep in our CAMS investment, bringing social more directly into our messaging space, evolving the mobile story, adding more analytics in. All of that on top of a platform that's been in market for a number of years. Where we go next is really to improve on the predictive and proactive ways that the platform can help you work. And that's going to involve a heavy investment in cognitive that is underway today. So just turning over to Verse just for a second, and Adam did a nice job introducing the concept. How many folks are using Verse today? Okay, a few people are. We've gotten some interesting feedback from the market on Verse. Certainly it's a transformation on how we're presenting the way to work with email. A focus on the relationships you have, on the people who are most important to you, the infusion of analytics to present that environment, to present the most important people, but it's just really the beginning. We launched Verse in the very end of Q1. We brought our mobile capabilities out in Q2. We continue to iterate on a weekly basis with monthly updates, and we're up to, I believe, something like iteration 78 now. In the cloud, this environment gives us the ability to release new capabilities, sometimes in the dark, to help us navigate some of the cloud improvements and data center and resiliency and security items, and sometimes publicly to test out new capabilities. So we are just beginning. I think if you all are using Verse, you'll recognize some of the productivity gains that we've put into the system, and you'll also recognize that there's some things that aren't working the way you're accustomed to. The calendaring integration, for example, is a big part of some of the improvements that we're going to be working on. And then introducing more and more of the social elements. So far, we've got 3 of the key social apps integrated: profiles, sharing to blogs, and getting into the communities, and then our file sync. But that's, again, just the beginning. With Verse, one of the core concepts was to manage work in a better way, to track work in a different way, and that requires integration with the Activities app. That's something that's on the radar and coming soon as well. So, talking about the radar, I wanted to give folks a little sense of the roadmap coming up. We have a number of cloud capabilities on the left and on-premises capabilities on the right to give you a sense of investment across the board. Certainly with Verse, we're in a continuous delivery, an always green environment, many capabilities coming out. Some of the new threads or offline capability, and others, more social integration, are coming later on. Connections Cloud, I'm going to walk through some of the updates in a second that we're releasing in the second half. Bluemix is a very exciting set of capabilities across IBM, heavily influenced by the design team. In fact, one of the VPs of product management, Damien Heredia, was a peer of mine working for Phil in a previous organization at IBM. And so we both got a lot of experience on how to create and design products. BlueMix is another example of how we're transforming the world of app dev, transforming the world of service delivery, and really fulfilling the promise of service orientation and assembly as well. Marlon Machado's here. He's going to talk to you a little bit about Marlon. Yeah, just wave your hand in the back there. He's going to talk to you about some of our UCC capabilities from chat and meetings. In addition, some of the partnerships we're developing from a telephony perspective as well. How many of you are on Notes Domino on premises today? Okay, I was assuming that most of you are most interested in where we're heading there. And rest assured, big plans that we have on our next iteration, our next release of Notes Domino. We have locked our plan, development's well underway, testing's finished for a number of the key capabilities, and that applies to the messaging and the application development space as well. We'll talk some more about that. A big part of the next release of Notes Domino is locking down on especially the server capabilities in order to prepare for the burst on-premises deployment. So that is something that we have on our radar that we're working on. It's a critical request from the market, and along with some additional capabilities we're putting into the core platform, that's one of the strategic priorities we have. With connections as well, one of the key things we're doing is keeping connections in sync from a cloud and an on-premises perspective. How many connections users do we have? Okay, good. A handful. I'd say maybe about 20%. So that's good to see. A tremendous amount of investment that we've put in there across all of the apps. I'll show you some of those, as well as same time that we'll talk about as well. Now, one of the key things that we've changed this year is deployment options, also our licensing. For those of you who've been hesitant about this, and licensing might have been an inhibitor for you, we fixed that problem. We provided a universal licensing option, and that gives you entitlement to both the on-premise and the SaaS-based offerings. That should allow you to start, to pilot, to POC, and eventually to deploy at your pace and your time to start benefiting from the eventual move to the cloud that we hope many of you will take.
Can people hear about that from their partners?
Yes, they can. Absolutely. Yeah, you can talk to Lisa or many of the partners in the room here today about that as well. So let me just shift gears now and talk to you a little bit about the portfolio. Richard, how are we doing on time? I just want to be conscious because I know we ran over just a little bit. Maybe
I got another
20 minutes, good. All right, plenty of time. So let me start. Is Pete here? Pete's going to talk to us in a little bit about the app dev space. I just want to introduce him and let him talk to you in just a... Actually, I've got one more thing, Pete, and then I'll bring you up. One more thing that I wanted to talk about is a day in the life, and then I'll talk about app dev. I know, and first off, how many app dev folks are in the room today? All right, a lot. So I know you're anxious to hear this part and to hear a little bit from Pete. One of the things we wanted to show you is, in a snippet, just the day in the life and where we're going. Adam talked about the importance of the design principles applying to not just one particular capability, but how they all interact with each other across the portfolio. And with us, with capabilities like a file sync and share capability where, Barry Rosenberry's working on, he's one of my senior product managers, is working on a presentation. Here's an example of how adoption in social is happening across IBM and where we're seeing it applied in the industry first and foremost. It's with the file sync and share capabilities. So you can see we're working on a presentation. We post it to the file sync and share. We can see this on all our mobile apps. We can get updates. We can see who's been identifying or commenting on the app. We can also sync up and get the most recent version. No more email on sending files back and forth trying to keep up to date on the latest file. We can then go back to Verse. We're in Verse checking for updates. He sees in his most important people that I've made an update, and then we can lock down on the presentation and without ever sending a file back and forth to one another. So, these are just little ways that we're working to improve productivity and to allow us to work in a different way. And you start applying that across the platform, and it becomes, seconds become minutes that we turn into hours of productivity gains across the day. So now, Pete, come on up, and let's just talk for a second about the app dev space, because this is one of the most exciting pieces, and I want folks to hear it from you directly.
Great. Thank you very much, Kramer. All right, so a couple things. Kramer mentioned that IBM's heavily invested in Bluemix. If you've been paying attention to the social channels for the past year or so, you've heard a lot of information being disseminated from IBM. And from our perspective, from an ESS application development area, we are looking and investing in this area, specifically bringing the power of the Domino application development platform to Bluemix, as well as looking to expose services from some of our other cloud-based applications to Bluemix. So Bluemix gives you a lot of various capabilities, brings you new ways to build your applications, has built-in resiliency, scalability, things that are very interesting to customers as they go ahead and look to take advantage of the cloud. I think the operative term in Bluemix is the word mix, because what it allows you to do is build these new kinds of applications that easily bring services together from a number of different kinds of capabilities. So the ability to build, let's say, a Domino-based application for collaboration and project management, complement that with some analytics from some of our analytics offerings, maybe some Watson services, things like that. It really gives you that platform to easily go ahead and bring those things together. If we can go on to the next slide. Another thing that we're looking at is certainly, our partners are very important to us, both because they, help drive revenue from us, but also because they deliver solutions that complement the offerings that we have available to you as customers. And so one of the things that we want to do is give a better way for partners to be able to bring their solutions to market, and as well as for customers being able to go ahead and discover solutions that complement what they're doing, say within Verse or within Connections, etc. And so being able to go ahead and leverage the IBM Cloud Marketplace is something that we're heavily looking into. We're having a number of various discussions now about how we can kind of bridge the experience that one might have when using our Connections Cloud or IBM Verse or Connections Chat services directly into a marketplace where you can go ahead and discover those solutions. So it'll be important, certainly for our partners, but also for our customers. So some of the things that we're looking here from a strategic perspective is really, we've had a robust set of APIs for our on-premises offerings. Partners, customers, who've been looking at the cloud have known that, we still need to do some work in the area here to expose APIs to be able to get to the back-end services that support our applications in the cloud, as well as have the ability to go ahead and extend the user experience here from within the experience you have, say, in Verse or Connections. So we're going ahead and working on some things right now to define that and then make that available to developers here in the ensuing months in next year. Embracing Bluemix, driving developers, so as I was just saying on the previous slide, actively promoting ISVs to provide those complementary solutions, not only giving the APIs and extensibility to do that, but also giving you new routes to market. But then certainly preserving our investments in on-premises offerings. So Kramer was alluding to the upcoming release of Notes Domino, upcoming releases of Connections. At the same time, all these areas are having focus on APIs, application development, extensibility. So lastly, I just wanted, if you haven't heard, we did release an experimental set of services to Bluemix for working with Domino. One is the Xpages runtime, the other one is an Xpages SQL database, and to get you started, we have a web starter here which brings all those together to allow you to experience this really easily and quickly. I have a session today at 1. I'm going to be going through a lot of the stuff that we're looking at for the next release of Notes Domino, and then focusing in a lot on IBM Bluemix and what we're doing there. Great. So thank you, Kramer.
Okay, thanks, Pete. So our app dev strategy is very strong. In fact, we just locked down on a whole set of APIs that we're planning to release. Pete will talk to you a little bit about those. A big part of the strategy is also applying not only the app dev piece with the core Domino environment, but the integration of that with some of the social capabilities. So with that, I want to talk to you just a little bit about some of the new things that are coming to market in the second half, and some other things that are on our radar that are near-term deliverables as well. One of the key things that are coming out is a new theme, going back to the color palettes and aligning with the IBM style and sort of form factor that we want to be experienced within the mobile environment. The new theme is going to be released as well. This gives us a consistency across all of the apps within the portfolio. When you add them up, there's somewhere around 15 different apps that we're working at to deliver across all of the connections and messaging space. So keeping those consistent and delivering those. Now, another thing that we're releasing is an update on the alerting mechanism. Going back to the ability to stay on top of the most important work and the prioritization that the users have. Our alerts are a key part of the strategy, so we're updating those within Connections, and that's coming out this quarter. Customization within the Community app. So the Community app provides a bunch of capabilities and really is maybe the cornerstone of becoming a social business, is the ability to create communities where folks can work in a permanent basis and have a sense of presence and purpose. The community offers many different sort of sub-apps that allow work to be managed and persisted and governed and tracked. We've added some new capabilities that really help the admins or the community owners better manage that particular space and that environment. From a meetings perspective, a lot of new things have happened in meetings. We've been iterating and tweaking some of the new meeting service that is based on the same time 9 release. Security is one of the key things that we've been focused on, and the ability to access one-click join meetings has been finalized, and that's coming out as well. In addition to our audio video, which we released, this is a fantastic meetings experience that is getting really good reviews. Chat as well, a number of consistencies that we're applying across the service, depending on whether or not you're using an embedded chat experience, where we're seeing more and more users go to as well. And as I said, Marlon's going to have a deep session on our UCC capabilities. Now, going from Versa, as you can see, a very consistent look and feel. Across the top, one of the key things I wanted to mention around the important to me environment is this and the calendaring, the persistent calendaring on the bottom are two areas that will likely become part of the overall experience across the Connections platform environment. This is turning out to be one of the best features that customers are providing feedback on, and they'd like to see that in the connection space as well. One of the integration points we have with social is the business card integration, so we've improved on that and continue to make that a cornerstone of the important to me in the prioritization, so that users can easily access, communicate with, see updates on any of the people that are important to me, and that specifically in this case is supporting type ahead and other messaging capabilities. Certainly the investment protection with your Notes and Domino applications and the client application access, I guess it was previously called the Notes Browser plugin, being able to have that type of access in the web so that your applications can persist, a lot of that functionality can persist. This is a key part of what IBM really stands for, is bringing forward that heritage capability, and we're going to do that here as well, and this is underway and coming this quarter. The offline capability is likely a Q4 item, or it's a roadmap item. We haven't actually announced a particular date. This works today in mobile, so this is now the web-based version that we're finalizing as well. So this is something that I know is a traditional differentiator with our Notes Domino space, and something that we're adding into the burst environment as well. A couple other areas. The extensibility is a key part of our strategy. We've added a number of the APIs in here. Here's an example of integration with bots, just as one example of EFSS integration. There's many others that we're considering. One of the others that we're finding to be a potential value add across external apps is the important to me analytics feature. So if the system can present to you who the most important people in your network are, can you persist that out to apps in the rest of your organization? For example, in say a Sugar CRM app, or perhaps in an SAP app. Who are you working with? Who are you collaborating with the most? Why should that change if you switch from a collaboration to, say, a specific app within a department? Maybe it's in HR or the like. And there's many others that we're looking at. How can we actually release some of the intelligence and give access to that to the developers? From a business partner perspective, we have, how many business partners are here today? And this is great. I encourage all of the users here and the individual companies to reach out to your business partners. We continue to invest in various tools and capabilities to deliver different ways of working with our business partners. There's a whole set of skills that the partners offer, either from training to migration to best practices. And please take advantage of that in addition to the licensing capabilities that are being offered as well. One of the key things that we've been working with customers on is this journey to the cloud. And in addition to working with your partners or with IBM, we've got a number of assets available that we recommend you take a look at. Certainly the first and foremost is an ROI tool. Can we show you how you can save money, significant amount of TCO, by removing a lot of that infrastructure requirement and responsibility and moving your capabilities to the cloud. We have a readiness assessment to show if your environment is set to do that. We can then put together the value-based proposal. We can do POCs and pilots. Our partners can do this as well. And we've applied the design thinking principles to one of the key elements of the transition that you would go through, which is migration, to deliver a really a very elegant migration experience. So our migration tool has been overhauled, and you can take a look at that back in the corner of one of the IBM booths to see how that's simplified this process as you move either from your on-premises environment to the cloud, or if you're in a competitive environment, to our cloud as well. Now just a couple final charts on mobile, just so you can get a sense of the investments going on here. Certainly, we've made big updates in the Profiles app. This is one of, I said communities might be a cornerstone, but if you think about it, it all does come back to the person and the people within the organization having access to understanding those skills, knowing when and where they're available, getting access to their files, being able to collaborate with them, making everything just super easy to work with somebody, whether or not they're online or off, or perhaps they're leaving the company, or they're going to a new division. How do you keep and maintain that core knowledge and manage that and have a single point of contact to go in and get that? Our Profiles app, again, is one of the key areas that we can help you advance your social business journey by embracing what you can do within a Profiles app. Of course, you all probably had the entitlement to that since 8.5.3. We're continuing to innovate and improve the designs here within a tablet environment. In addition, new enhancements within the mobile space, within some of the mobile application management, some basic capabilities on managing accounts and security requirements. Within Verse Mobile, we're now out in market with iOS smartphone and app and the Android app and smartphone and our tablet and smartphone. Admittedly, a hiccup with the Android and communicating some of the changes on Traveler. We've rectified that, and believe me, there's some new processes put in place on how we release an app that affects the Traveler capability. But you can see, what this environment looks like. Some of the new things we've put in, especially with the same time awareness, all of the social capabilities nicely integrated. The experience of one-click joining meetings, one-click joining calls, one-click to post a file, all through mobile environments is just outstanding. I really, really love the Verse Mobile app. It helps me. I'm on the road quite a bit. Being able to get to the important, to meet folks, any notifications from my boss, my boss's boss. One of the key things that we're doing, just a little aside, is in the important to me space, we've started with the individual to prioritize who you should be looking at and spending time with and focusing on. If you remember, there's two ways to do that. There's system-generated priority people, and then there's self-selected priority people. The next phase is to bring groups of people or projects so that the system will suggest, hey, you have a deadline, here's a group, here's work, you need to look at this. Or here's your management chain, your third line may not be in your important to me people, but he just sent you an alert or a message, you better take a look at it, because you don't get many messages from your SVP or CEO, but you better take a look at this now. So we're building that capability in as well. Very exciting steps that we're taking to add more productivity gains and prioritization measures into the service. Well, here we're talking a little bit about some of the important to me, some of the renderings that we have within the tablet environment. Again, more integration with meetings. Again, one-click meetings, very seamless experience. There's been an interesting debate inside IBM about whether or not we wanted to release these all as separate apps or to create an integrated experience. And we settled on the integrated experience based on a lot of the user feedback from the design team, from our sponsor users, from our design partners. And it seems to be the way we're going to be moving forward. All of it's integrated, slightly heavier footprint, but we're working on improving on the sub-second response time and all of this. And we feel like this is really the way people want to work. That's what the users are saying. That's what the designs are showing from that work as well. More options coming up on the mail. Some of the basics, admittedly, we put this out in the market with not a full, complete set of end-to-end notes domino equivalent capabilities that we've been building on for 20 years. We wanted to get this in market quickly to show some of the new ways of working, but we're catching up. We're adding a lot of the features that, some of which were fairly basic, but others are more advanced. So we're continuing to add more and more, especially with some of the basic email functionality. I mentioned, some of the roadmap big picture items around contacts, calendaring. There's a lot going on in orientation and landing page and bringing together single points of contact for managing your work. One of the most exciting things, however, is cognitive. And as I mentioned, Rob Koplowitz joined us. He's working very closely with Adam's, I would say one of his top designers, Laura Rodriguez, and one of our top SPSMs, Ram Krishnamurthy. And the three of them, along with a large team of developers, designers, and other product managers, are preparing for an iteration of cognitive and social. More coming on this very soon. In fact, so soon it's within probably about a month or so that this is going to be showing up in points of view and POCs and other demos. So stay tuned. If I was going to say, well, what's really exciting? Certainly transforming a rock-solid platform like Notes Domino into the next generation of cloud-based, web access, mobile-delighted, integrated experience with social, with all of the apps in social, bringing those apps into the place where the user is comfortable in the inbox, and helping them get comfortable with social in a new way. That's exciting. This is even more exciting. What we can do to slowly make the system smarter and smarter to make more recommendations on, hey, here's a note, and here's a note that just came in, here's a suggested action you should take. That is what's coming down the pipe, and that's very exciting what we're able to do there. Watson is opening up all kinds of doors for us. They've opened up their APIs. If you haven't spent time looking at the partner network around Watson, especially from a partner perspective, take a look. Much more coming there. And then finally, we're out in market. So I'm glad you're at this user group event. There's lots of events occurring. Tell your colleagues and your network around the country, around the world, about some of the other events we're going to be at. The big one coming up this fall is going to be Insight in Vegas, where we'll have some major announcements. And then we'll come back in January. We'll do Connect 2016 in Orlando again. And we're going to have an even bigger, better, more exciting year down in Orlando, along with some of these other events that we're going to be sponsoring and participating in. It's great to be in this space. A big reason is all the passion and excitement and history, but also the investment. Adam said he's hiring, we're hiring. We can't hire fast enough. We're looking for people, and it's a great time to be in the social space, in collaboration, to be reinventing capabilities, and I think all of you are in a great space as well, because your companies are looking to you to help transform them to get them ready for this next journey as well. So thanks a lot. Look forward to, actually, one last, a couple of the sessions I really hope you get to see. Marlon, Pete, others are going to be talking about all of these capabilities in more detail. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Kramer, for a wonderful talk. Just a reminder, make sure you come here for lunch. We have an exciting speaker, Louis Richardson, speaking on the great good of social collaboration. And he always a wonderful talk. So, and also come back here at 2 o'clock for the speech sponsoring and make the sponsors sweat. So, in terms of the rest of the conference, everyone who has that little orange button or orange tag, it allows you to go to the event tonight. Just let you know that right after the last session, the bus will start picking you up on the side where of the road where the main entrance is, where that little area with the parking. And the first bus coming back is at 9:30, and then we'll make about 3 rounds. So if you need to leave, come home, come back a little earlier, take the first bus. If not, the last bus is at 10:30. So enjoy the show and have fun. Yeah, do not walk there. It's not advisable. So it's an interesting area. It's not back where I used to work, so it's not an issue with me, but for you guys, maybe a little bit. So.